Hi everybody. Okay, so I have to add Ali to this. Let me do that really quick. Let's see. Okay, invite. I just sent her a request. Let's hope that it works. I'm always really nervous. Hi everybody. Thank you for being here. Let's see. Okay. I think I'm doing it right. Otherwise, we're all just going to sit here for like the next 15 minutes, hoping. Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you can be here, everybody. Okay. Hope I'm doing this correctly. It's okay. We still have another minute anyways before the live is supposed to start. It says Ali is unable to join. Let me try this again. Send request. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hey. I was really scared for a second. I thought the same thing was going to happen.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hi,
we're good.
everybody. So Allie's here. Before I introduce her, I just want to say a quick intro. So thank you for joining me on this other account that I co-run, Almost Normal Productions. I co-run this account with two other ladies, Elizabeth and Catherine. We're a female-led production company. So yay, women in film. Our content, aside from our films, basically focuses on how we as artists, but also how the characters in our films deal with, everyday human struggles. Whether you're an artist or not, we all have the same obstacles that we face day to day. So today I'm bringing on Ali Skovbye, who's another lady in the industry, my fellow actress, to just, chat about some of these honest topics that we cover here at Almost Normal. And I think whether you're a performer like Ali and I or not, certain struggles are just universal. And I think they apply to anybody that's learning how to live life, which is all of us. So Ali, you wanted to talk about like a couple specific topics of ours. So I think this happened last week and the week before. A few of my guests have actually wanted to talk about the same recurring topics, which I think is interesting. I think the same things are appealing to us artist types, So I'll just jump right in and then we can, you can chat about it. So one of the things we talked about, I asked you what has been your experience asserting yourself in the workplace, has it come naturally, or have you found it difficult to stay true to yourself and like express yourself the way you want to?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of struggled with it. And I think a huge thing that's always contributed to that was like an age sort of factor thing, where I feel like I would think because I've done it for so long that it would help. But I feel like because I've done it so long, I've always been the kid. And I've always been a kid with a whole bunch of adults. And so that's intimidating in and of itself. And then having to feel like, oh, who's going to listen to a kid? You know what I mean? And I think I'm only now kind of starting to get over that and kind of feeling more like an adult. But still, like, I'm almost always the youngest on the set. And I feel like, it's hard not to... asserting yourself in our workplace, I think at least, is hard enough no matter what age you are. But then I think adding the fact that, and I think it's hard not to think like, oh, I'm just young. Like, no one's going to take me seriously. No one's actually going to, take into consideration what I have to say that seriously necessarily, because, what do I know, really? So I think I've always kind of struggled with that and not really believed in myself. And I don't know. It's been, it's tough. It's tough. And I think I'm slowly starting to get better at it now. And I think I've always also felt like I needed to like just be easy. I was like, no, like you're just gonna make the day longer and you're gonna cause issues and you're gonna make this more difficult on everybody. And I think that, only now again am I learning like, no, you're not making anything more difficult. You're here you know, they want you to be here. It's a collaborative effort,
Yeah.
even if necessarily you're not, you know, complaining about something that's wrong, even just sharing your creative ideas. This is like what you're here to do, what people want you to do.
Totally.
And so I'm just now like, you know, understanding that I can take up space. You know what I mean? I can
Yeah.
take that time and say what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not comfortable with. And yeah, but it's been a journey to get there, I think. But
I think that's I think that's a great like thing for also like anybody here that's like on the younger side of our audience and watching, because I think you and I both were child actors and we've transitioned into being adult actors. And as you said, sometimes when you start off in the industry as a child actor, thinking that your voice may not be as important, it can carry on into adulthood. Whereas when you start acting or you start in the industry already as an adult, you may have that sense of security embedded in you. And I think that what you said kind of applies no matter whether you're an actor or what, you know, whatever industry you're in. Like, just because you're young does not mean that you're not qualified for your position.
yeah.
And it doesn't mean that your voice is any lesser than people that are older and more experienced. Like, they want you there.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's what I feel like I've kept having to remind myself is like, no, they want you there, that you were
Right.
just as important as anybody else that's here.
Yes, definitely.
So,
Yeah, totally. And then also on that note, like, having been a child actor and having been in the industry for as long as you have you found yourself latching on to acting as like an emotional outlet? You know, do you find that because you have acting that you struggle to open up to the people in your life, you know, in your life, like that you might be burdening them or that you would be judged?
yeah, I think I kind of feel like it's the other way around. I feel like
Oh,
I've
okay.
always struggled with opening up to people in my life. I think kind of regardless of acting and the profession that I'm in, I've always just been a very closed off person, and I've never liked talking about my feelings, never liked opening up about things.
It's great that we're here.
Yeah, it's just my favorite. It's just my favorite time. No, I've gotten a lot better with it. As like, I think everything, just as I'm getting older, I'm realizing like I used to just think about everything too much, and like overanalyze things. And I just think as I'm getting older, I'm kind of starting to care less about certain things, and that's making it easier to just talk about things and
Just be.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
be. But especially growing up, I mean, like in high school, and I just so reserved and so closed off, and I think that acting was kind of the only thing that I had to express myself. And it was like, and that's one of the main reasons that I love what I do, is because it's such an easy and amazing way to express how I'm feeling.
Yeah. So do you
And
feel like,
such a,
so it's like taught you to be more open to people around you in real life?
yeah, for sure. It's yeah, and I think because it was like practice. I feel like it was like a way to do it without having to really do it, because in my head it was like, no, I'm like behind this like shield of, it's not me, it's just my character. Like, what are you talking about? And so now, yeah, just kind of like with anything, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And so, yeah, I think it's taught me a lot about how to open up.
No,
just
definitely.
become more honest with myself, and like the only way to do what we do honestly is to go deep within yourself and figure your shit out and be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely taught me to do that more.
Well, I always tell people, because I feel like, well, also being an actor, I think that people assume that you're very like readily available to talk about your feelings all the time, and that you're not shy, and that, you know, because you're in front of the camera. And I think it tends to be so the opposite. Like, I do find that a lot of actors, such as yourself, such as myself, tend to be a little bit more introverted, a little bit more closed off in real life, because it's like, I have this outlet that's I craved to find this outlet because I'm not as open in real life. And yeah, it might be helping me, but I do think that a lot of actors are not naturally very open people. And I think they enter, you know, this artistic field because it's like, oh, it's going to teach me how to access all those emotions that I don't always want to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that for sure. And I think sometimes it's like you almost don't need to, I feel like sometimes, because
Mm-hmm.
and depending on what you're working on for sure, but like right now I'm working on a drama, and so it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's all we're doing. You know, every day is kind of an emotional day, and so um, when you come home from work, it's like, oh, I don't even need to now. Like I'm
Right.
kind of I've done the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's really nice too, to just kind of like let it all out in a safe and creative space, because I feel like oftentimes, when you are talking about your emotions, it's not a creative thing, it's a
No,
bad
it's just
thing.
real.
Yeah, it's just real. So yeah, it's nice to kind of take a spin on that, not necessarily make it a bad thing. So
Mm-hmm. Although it's interesting that you say, because I've had conversations where, because you just said that sometimes it feels good, like through acting, you release it all,
hmm
and then you can just leave it. Like you don't have to explore those emotions because you feel like you already did. But then
yeah,
I've had actors say it's kind of problematic because I think that I'm dealing with all my emotions, but I'm not really, because it's still through the lens of a character that isn't me.
right.
So by leaving it on set, am I really, really dealing with it? Um, and I just think that's interesting with acting because anybody here who's like not an actor but is creative, like whether you're a writer or a director or whatever you do, um, there's really no other profession in which you are being creative but not as yourself.
hmm
I think that
yeah,
with acting, it's like you're being creative but not really as yourself. Like you're portraying another character that can share parts of you.
hmm
But when you're a writer or a singer or a dancer, like you're not playing a character necessarily.
you are just
um,
you. Yeah.
you're just you. And so I think that's what's interesting, and that's what I like to talk about, because it's like, how are you exploring your emotions, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, I
It's
think
yeah,
I
yes
think
and no.
yes and no. Yeah, and it depends on, it depends on the week, it depends how I'm feeling that
Hmm.
week. Sometimes that's enough, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of just knowing that for yourself, and also like um as much as it is about you, it's not entire yeah, it's not,
Yeah,
it's not you. So that's
totally.
kind of nice to know too, as a way to be like kind of to leave it, to just kind of leave that there, and then explore
Yeah.
your own stuff when you need to, kind of.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a whole loaded thing.
It is a whole
It's a
loaded
very,
thing.
yeah.
It is a whole loaded thing, but it's all connected,
hmm
whether, because I'm sure a lot of people here are not in acting. I'm sure a lot of people here are probably either creative or just in a completely different, field. But I think the same applies. Somebody said, does it really solve your problems by sharing them with others? What would you say to that? Does it solve your problems?
I don't think, because, well, I don't think that I necessarily share my problems with others. Like,
Okay.
I think it's a space for me to get to release emotion that I lock so tightly closed in myself, because I just hate being vulnerable and open in front of people. And so
Hmm.
that, as a way, is a very easy way to do it without me feeling like I'm doing it, because I'm not necessarily doing it. So I don't think
Right.
I'm talking about my problem. Like I'm not opening up about issues that I have, and talking about my problems. It's more just, if you
Hmm.
is kind of just letting shit out that you necessarily wouldn't always let out. Um,
Right.
and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes all you need is that. And um,
Hmm.
I don't know, because I also like when I do try, like, I don't like to cry in front of people. I hate crying in front of people. I
Yeah.
just hate doing I hate all of that in front of people. And so
Says the
it's nice.
actress.
I know. Well, but that's what it's nice. If that's like,
Yeah.
you get to do it in front of people in a safe environment and feel like you
Hmm.
kind of are you, and like,
Yeah.
and doing that. I don't think it solves my problems though. I don't know. What do you think? I don't think it
I
like,
think I think it just depends on, I guess, how that question was asked. I think that if it's like in terms of acting and
mhm.
specifically, I think you're right. Like it doesn't I'm not sharing my personal stuff. I'm just,
Yeah.
releasing whatever I have to through a character, a situation. But I think if it's in my personal life, I think I'm fortunate to have some people around me that I can talk to about things when I need to, and I can talk to them really closely.
Yeah.
And I think in that regard, sharing my problems does help because, you know, at some point they have to be talked about.
For sure.
But probably no, like not through acting.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. I think it can help then in your personal life, like to kind of sometimes it'll bring something up you didn't even know you needed to talk about, and then in your personal life you can talk about it. And
yeah, I think it's like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's like a stepping stone for sure. And then kind of in that same realm, because you've been, like what we talked, you know, you've been in the spotlight, you're familiar with what that feels like. So what can you say about how you've experienced yourself in that? You know, have you always felt worthy of that attention, or was it something that you struggled with accepting?
Yeah, I still don't really feel like I'm in the spotlight necessarily. But I with the same, like I'm a shy person. I'm a pretty shy person. I always have been. And so I hate attention on me like that. So I think I've struggled with it just based on that. And then also, you know, I think there's just so many, I don't know, I feel like there's so many other like professions that deserve spotlight than like acting. I'm not to diminish what we do, and I love what we do, and I think it's very hard and does deserve praise, but I don't know, I feel like of all the professions or things to be praised about, I find it hard that like I don't feel like I deserve praise for anything. I'm just doing my job and doing what I love to do. You know what I mean? Like this is just, I'm just fortunate enough to do what I love to do, and I think in my head that's all that is. And so I think I do struggle with that a little bit. And I also, I mean, being in the spotlight is, I mean, like spotlight to a sense is tough also because everything you're doing is watched and everything is criticized, and everything, you have to be cautious about everything, which sometimes drives me crazy because I hate having to think about everything I post, everything I say, everything is looked at very critically. So that whole aspect of being, you know, watched and seen as
I think it's interesting though what you said, because you said that because there are other professions that may be doing things that seem more important, or there are people saving lives, and there are people, you know, doing things that just feel like they hold more significance in the world. And so it's kind of like, like, am I really worthy of, you know, all this attention from people? But on the other hand, like, because I can completely relate to that. But on the other hand, I do think that sometimes I diminish what we do is really important, because I think about all the films that I've watched and all the songs that I've listened to and the performances that have really, really made me feel so deeply, and, you know, films that I've seen that have really like shaped my perspective on really important subjects and matters. And I forget that art really does hold so much weight in this world. And just because it's not, you know, directly saving lives, or it's not rocket science, or, you know, it doesn't feel like it's this crazy innovative thing that is making this global impact. I think it is. It's just doing it in its own way, you know. I think art does save lives, just maybe indirectly.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think we, you know, we talk about important matters and show important matters that need to be talked about and can be viewed by a larger audience and can be seen by people.
Yeah, like I think it can just be such a powerful medium, and I think that you know, actors especially, like, you know, you can use, like, you know, you have access to this audience.
Yeah.
And you have access to, you know, you have access to this wide group of people that you can talk to about anything. And I think that's so powerful.
That is very,
and I forget that. So, I mean, it's kind of what we're doing here.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I agree for sure. It's definitely, it's just, it's a way to reach an audience and show people, you know, things that to show an audience to see something that, you know, maybe they didn't necessarily think they could see happen to someone or experience and feel less alone. And I think that is incredible.
Yeah, it's like the feeling less alone, I think.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just seeing that it can happen to, you know, someone just like you, or, you know, any of that type of thing, which is very, very beneficial and very helpful. And I feel like we start the very big conversations that need to be explored more deeply. So
I agree. I'd like to think so.
Hopefully.
I hope. I don't know. Maybe it's all in my head, and everything I'm saying right now is completely insignificant.
No,
I'm kidding. But yeah, no, I love hearing. I feel like everything that you say, there's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot of common threads. You know, to when I talk to other artists and other people about these things, it's nice to see some of the same themes coming up, because it's like, oh, we're all just humans. Like, we all have, you know, we all share the same sentiments.
Struggle with the same things, and
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, I'll open the floor to anybody who wants to ask us any questions. I have not been keeping up with all of our comments. So if you see anything in there that you want to answer, feel free. But thank you all so much for being here. I'm glad that we could do this today. Ali and I, fun fact, have been trying to schedule this live stream for probably like 3 months.
Probably a while at this point,
Yeah. So this feels very special that this has happened. Thank you so much, though. Somebody said, I agree totally that we're all humans. So on that note,
it is good to remember, though. I think we hold people on a higher standard or on a pedestal sometimes based on insignificant things that you know, everyone's struggling with the same things and going through the same things, and treat everybody kindly, and
it's not that hard.
It's not. It's pretty easy to make someone's day and just be nice.
I agree.
It's human.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining our live stream, Ali, and thank you everybody for being here. You know, feel free to follow this account, Almost Normal Productions, because we cover topics like these and others, and you'll see a lot of posts similar to like what Ali and I have discussed today, and also posts on our upcoming horror movie, The Accursed. That's a little plug. So,
yes.
You know, I'll be hosting this Wednesday Q&A from here, and thanks again, Ali, and I'm sending everybody my love.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.